Oh my goodness, that was cool, wasn't it?
I felt really important then.
We are live. We are live. Now, the trouble is, right, is those of you watching, we have a little pre-chat, and I always get so engrossed in talking to everybody, and I forget to do that. So that's our countdown. Hello, Donna Barnes. How the devil are you?
I'm really very well, thank you. I'm very well.
Excellent. Well, it's lovely to see you. So people who don't know who you are, first question is, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I am Donna Barnes, and I am, as they call me in Plymouth, I am the recruitment person. So I own and run a couple of recruitment companies, both within specialist sectors, and one of them being the accountant side.
Which is why you're here today.
Exactly.
Absolutely superb. So you've been an accountant for an accountant. You've been a recruiter for a little while, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been a recruiter for just over 25 years.
You don't look old enough.
I know. I think I need to retire really soon.
So, all right. We all think we know what a recruiter does. So, what do you do?
We are what I call it actually. We matchmake. So we are a matchmaker for professionals. So we find people for our clients, but we also find jobs for our people. And I know it sounds really simple, doesn't it? It's not as simple as it sounds in any way, shape, or form. So we represent our clients, and we go and try and find the candidates for them. But we are constantly enticing people to come and talk to us, to then introduce them to our clients, and then we have to manage that whole process through. So it's not just about an interview, it's not just about a CV. Once they've then had their interview with the client, we then have to make sure that everything matches. So the client matches with them, they match with the client, and then we've got to manage them through their notice period. And it's a really in-depth job. People think that we're just either salespeople or we are just recruiters. It's very, very different.
No, I love the way you just said matchmake. And I'm thinking of my friend Nikki.
I know Nikki.
You know Nikki, and you know what she does now. So
I do.
she is a matchmaker, and so not an awful lot of transition for her to go from finding people employers to finding people love. So no, it's a very similar sort of thing, I'm sure.
And it is, and you've got a list. So a client's got a list of wants that they want, whether that be professional qualifications, whether that be experience, but also their behaviours and the type of person and their availability. And the candidate's got the same. And it's the same as though you're looking for somebody to, especially nowadays, as though you're looking for somebody that you want to date. They've got to be 6 foot, they've got to have blue eyes, they've got to and it's a very similar type of thing. And you've got to matchmake, and they've got to get on. So when you're working with somebody, it's a bit different now because of the remote working, but when you're working with somebody so much, that compatibility in behaviours is as important, if not more important, than the actual skill set.
There's a lot of companies out there that employ for aptitude and not attitude, and I think one of the things that I get from you is it's all about the attitude, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. The first sift for people is, have they got experience and can they competently do the job? Once I've got past that tick box, it's like, actually, are they right? Are they right for my client? And every client is different and every candidate is different.
No, superb. So this show's all about accountants and bookkeepers. And so how long have you actually been working specifically, because you've got your company called Accountants Recruiters? How long have you specifically been working with just accountants and bookkeepers then, Donna?
Well, obviously I've been recruiting accountants and bookkeepers through my 25 years, but most recently, for about the last 12 to 18 months, I have specifically dealt with just accountants and bookkeepers. Oh, that was a fail. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything.
My phone went off.
That was ringing.
A fail. That was a fail. I'm going to turn it off. Bear with me. That was really wrong. Hang on there. Right, slide off. Power off.
We'll cut that bit. That's fine. That's fine. No one will notice. No one will notice at all.
It's not live, honest. Anyway, so I have been specialising in accountancy professionals for the last 12 to 18 months. And the reason being, it's getting a lot harder to find people at the moment, as everybody is probably noticing.
That was going to be my next question.
But if you specialise in something, then you become a lot more attractive to people. So therefore, I can attract and generate much more high-level candidates for my clients. So when people look at me now, as opposed to being Donna the recruiter, I am Donna the accountants recruiter, and that has a lot bigger bearing with attraction for clients and candidates. Plus, it means that I can really specialise. I'm now beginning to understand the marketplace and everything that's going on, and all the faux pas, because every accountancy practice is different. They want a different. The job titles are the same. That means nothing. I wouldn't really did that. I love it. Thanks, Richie.
Well, we know it's live, don't we? We know it's live.
I love it. That's why I decided to go into accountancy.
No, and they're lovely people, right?
Obviously, all lovely people. I only deal with nice clients. Actually, I did have a candidate tell me not long ago when I introduced them to a couple of my clients, and she was, Donna, all your clients are so nice. I went, I only deal with nice clients.
Yeah, and
if I've got to introduce my candidates to them, and vice versa, they're vetted on both sides. I could never put a candidate into a client that I know was going to get treated badly, or for whatever reason they were going to leave because of it just didn't fit. That's just not in my ethos.
No, and all right, I'm going to put you on the spot now. You don't have to answer it; it's fine. But so someone rings you up. Oh, I want someone. I want them to do this, and I want them to do that. And I'm sure you just put the phone down and said, "I'm sorry, you're really not right for me."
I do tell them that if somebody, I have had clients that I felt weren't right, and I have managed them through the process where I've directed them in the direction of something or somebody that would be able to assist them.
Fantastic.
So yes.
I know the answer to this question, but what challenges are you seeing accountants and bookkeepers having at the moment?
Oh my goodness, it's not just accountants and bookkeepers. The candidate market at the moment. I was speaking to another professional colleague around about half an hour ago, and he's been in the marketplace the same sort of time as me, and we have both said throughout our whole history, we have never seen a market as it is at this moment in time. It is really tough to find the right candidates. And then you think you found the right candidates, and it's not just recruiters having this problem, it's employers as well. You go through all of the processes of screening, interviewing, offering, all of that. They then go and hand their notice in and they get counter offered. Every candidate in the marketplace at the moment that is handing their notice in is being counter offered.
Right. I got a question for you on this one then, because why is there such a thing as a counter offer? Why aren't you looking after your staff anyway?
Well, I try and tell the candidates this. I have to be very level and unbiased, but if your employer is not paying you what they think you are worth at this moment in time, then why would you need to go through this process? Because for me, and I do use this when I'm speaking to people, if you're going to get counter offered from your employer now, that means that that's at the top of the level that they want to give you. They'll expect a lot, and you're not going to get that reviewed for a period of time. When you go into a new employment, into a new placement, that's your starting level. That's not your finishing level. That's where you're starting. Go prove yourself, and there is room to grow. As well, statistics show that anybody that is counter offered ordinarily still leaves 12 to 18 months after that period of time, because it's not normally money that is the reason they're leaving. Money is there, but it's not normally the reason. When I interview initially, I always go through okay, so tell me why you want to leave. Money is kind of in there, but it's never the real driver. And then what I have to do when they're counter offered is reflect back on, look, so when we initially spoke, you told me this, this, and this. Is this going to change? And normally the answer is no. But when somebody's offered a 10 grand pay rise, it's really hard to remember those reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I've had 30 different jobs, and it's never been about the money.
And it's not, is it? And people normally get fired because they're not the right fit for the company, and people try to leave because they're not, because of very other reasons. And there's loads of reasons why people leave a role, and it's very, very rarely money, and that's why they normally leave 12 to 18 months after.
No,
So
interesting.
it
That's
just
a good
doesn't fit.
stat. So Richie's sort of like I'm in an hour in his bets here. he asked a great question, and he's changed his mind now. So we'll put this one up then, Richie. What is the most memorable thing an employer has done to stand out? I think we could have the other question as well. There's no limit to the number of questions, Richie. So the other question was, what's the most memorable thing a candidate has done to stand out? But I've fired that one off at you first. So let's have that one first.
Okay, so let me go back to the candidate one, and it's not actually me, but ordinarily a candidate can stand out if they apply very differently. So if it's really boring, but it's true. If their CV stands out to be something a little bit different. But also, I know this sounds really, really boring, but if they phone you, so it's
hang on. What? Sorry, phone. What's that?
Well, exactly. So if that's the connection. That is the human connection, isn't it? So I sit in front of a computer, and my staff sit in front of computers all day looking at CVs. They pick up the phone to a candidate that's actually taken the time out to look at your phone number and say, "Hello, Donna, I've just seen this job you're advertising. I'm really interested in it. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?" I know that sounds a really boring thing, Richie, but that makes them stand out above the hundreds of CVs that we look at all day. That's from my level anyway.
I saw a post and commented on it yesterday. And he said, "I received the job application today, and I did something which some people might find unthinkable. I picked up the phone and called them."
Whenever I give anybody any advice when they go to me, "Donna, I'm like job hunting," I'm like, either walk in. I know it's a bit different because of COVID at the moment, but walk in and see them, and or pick up the phone if the second option, because you will be head and shoulders above your competitors instantly.
Absolutely. That's a top tip. So the other question then, what's the most memorable thing an employer has done to stand out?
Oh, Richie, I don't know. But I did. One of my employers that was interviewing recently did go and get an ice cream during the interview and change because they were too hot. But that was fine. They stood out to the candidate, and they actually really liked it because, and I mean, change by it was a case of, but it was showing the candidate how chilled they were as an employer. So that was a bit different. I can't think. It's really boring. I don't know, Richie. There's nobody's done anything that is any different. Maybe they need to.
There you go.
But employers at the moment do need to stand out. And it's not just about remote working. It's not just about salary. It's not just about everything else. It's about them. People need to. What I've said at the moment to my employers is they need to be flexible. Every candidate is looking for something different. So if you can be agile in your offering, then ordinarily you will. So for some it's like, yeah, I'll take a lower salary, but I need a little bit more flexibility here. Then if you can be agile in your offering, then you're going to stand out above your competitors.
Yeah, no, perfect. Yvonne's come on. Hi, Yvonne. How are you? You talked a lot about ensuring a candidate is a good fit, but I see lots of people struggle with transition into their roles due to lack of clarity about what is expected, personality clashes, culture not being what was promised. How do you help with or mitigate this? Great question, Yvonne.
I love that question, Yvonne. Okay, so I try to get involved as much as I can with my clients because at the end of the day, and I say this in the nicest term, I'm just a recruiter. So I can do as much as I can up to a certain point. Once they're out of my hands, it's much more difficult. So for what I do to try and make my fit as good as possible, or as fit as possible, is I actually do behavior profiling. So I get my clients to behavior profile what they're looking for within a person, and then I get my candidates and I try and make that fit. And some of them are really poor fits, because if I put somebody in who's really dominant and driven and loves to multitask, and they're going to be quite different to somebody who's very compliant, who likes to just tick box system, and who so if I put them in there, they're just not going to fit. But what I also do to some of my clients is I actually profile the whole of their teams. So once I've profiled their teams, I can see where the gaps are and where somebody will fit. So ordinarily, my culture fit will be fine.
No, I like that. And that's a lot of extra effort and work that you're putting in there. But obviously, the results speak for themselves.
Well, the thing is, where we're a little bit different, and this isn't a sales thing, but where we are a little bit different is I offer a 12-month payment plan. So if my candidate leaves within 12 months, that reflects on me within my business. So I have to make sure whatever I do at the very beginning is as watertight as it can be. And I obviously still keep in touch with my candidates and clients through that placement for the whole 12 months. And I'm there as almost like an intermediary. So I have actually stopped a candidate leaving due to a little bit of miscommunication, because once they speak to me, I'm the outside man. I can then go back and say, look, this is actually what's going on. This is actually where they're thinking. No, oh, if I'd known that, we could have done. Right, if we do this, will this work? Absolutely. And they've stayed there and they're still happy 2 years on. So
maybe you should go and work everywhere as an intermediary, because the communication breakdown is just crazy. And you can be so like, oh, I got a problem with my staff. Oh, I'll speak to them. Oh, I got a problem with my boss. Oh, I'll speak to them. And maybe it shouldn't just be for the 12 months. Maybe it should be for a lot longer or forever.
ever and ever.
No, brilliant. Okay, so this is supposed to be 15 minutes behind, for accountants and bookkeepers, and there's a couple of other questions here. So, what's your top tip then that accountants and bookkeepers can do right now?
Make sure they're offering to their candidates are in the marketplace are correct. And the best thing, if you can allow hybrid working, you are going to get the best candidates.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
Yeah.
That's my tip. When I have clients that come to me and they need them in the office full time, I know it will be a challenge to get them a top level candidate.
Because these top level candidates, they've been used to working from home for the last nearly 2 years.
Yeah, they don't mind hybrid. People prefer hybrid at the moment as opposed to full remote.
Yeah.
And I think if you can get your practice to the stage where you can monitor and all of your processes and procedures can be done, hybrid is the best option to offer.
No, fantastic. That is a great top tip. We've run out of time. I've had some lovely questions from the floor, so thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you very much for coming today, Donna. I've got one more question about your primary school antics, but I just want to go in and shout out my guest for next week. Some of you will actually know who he is because he's on today. It's Richie Cridge from Connectable. So he's coming on next week to talk about what he does and how he helps accountants and bookkeepers. So looking forward to that. So your final question then, Donna. When you were at primary school, okay, what did you want to do when you grew up?
I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a PE teacher. But actually what I've learned is I would have made a rubbish teacher, because one of my things that I'm really poor at is giving instructions. I'm really, really poor at giving instructions. So my teaching days wouldn't have been there.
So you found your thing. Do people fall into recruitment, or do they?
Totally.
Really?
Never. Okay. At school, if you ask anybody, if you've asked anyone, do they ever say, "I want to be a recruiter"? We're like the double glazing salesman. It's not classed as a profession. But people fall in and sometimes fall back out, but not me.
I know some lovely recruiters. Really lovely recruiters.
There's some really very good professional value added people out there. They're really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Including yourself. Donna, you've been an absolute star. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming on. And
No, thanks for
how
asking
can
me.
people get hold of you?
Well, they can find me at the Accountants Recruiter. We are all online on LinkedIn, and my email is all on my LinkedIn profile, and so is my telephone number. So LinkedIn is
Fantastic.
the best option.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. So, Donna, thank you very much indeed. We will see you
Thank
all
you.
next week. Have a great week, guys. All the best. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.